What's up? It's Mel. Here's the deal. Winter can suck for a lot of motorcycle riders. It's cold and it's wet, and depending on where you live in the world, there might even be some snow on the ground. So for a lot of us, this means spending the season indoors, away from our motorcycles, which can be really heartbreaking. So it means no riding into the wind, no sunsets or sunrises from our saddle, no limitless adventure of the open road, and definitely no riding to the trailhead and hitting the trail. Personally, I get super sad in winter when I can't ride, and I hear the same thing from my community all the time. So winter can be hard to get through, but it just got a ton easier with this video where I'm going to share my top 5 things to do in winter to stay in the motorcycle game and stay in the zone for riding season. So my name is Melissa Hassong. I'm a motorcycle mindset coach. I help women live authentically by riding motorcycles. I share helpful tactical tips and advice to get you riding and to keep you a lifelong motorcycle rider. In this video, you will learn my top 5 things to know about winter motorcycle activities, including planning and scheduling motorcycle trips and rides, reviewing and repairing your gear, hanging out with motorcycle friends, winterizing your motorcycle and planning repairs, and finally, organizing your camping gear. By the way, I want you to check out my links below in the notes section for more motorcycle and mindset content. I have an epic weekly newsletter called the Women's Moto Roundup that I think you're going to love, and you can subscribe for that below. Okay, so it's winter and you can't ride your motorcycle. You might be feeling down, a little sad, and missing all of the fun times you had riding with your friends during the summer. So it can be tough making it through dark, cold winter days when riding season seems really far away. You might even be counting down the days until you can start your engine again and hit the road like I do. So I'm going to save you a ton of time and pain of not riding, and I'm going to teach you how to use winter to prepare for your riding season so that you never waste a minute of riding time when the weather is warm and the sun starts shining. Okay, so here are my top 5 tips on what to do in winter when you can't ride your motorcycle. So tip 1, plan and schedule your motorcycle trips. Motorcycle trips and rides with my friends are the highlight of my summer. In Minnesota, where I live, summer is really, really short, so I always make sure to plan ahead and schedule my trips before other events start to creep in and take up space in my calendar. Now, planning your rides for the year ahead is a great way to stay in the motorcycle game. It keeps your mind in the zone for riding, and it keeps you laser focused on it. Winter is much easier to deal with once you have something to look forward to, like amazing motorcycle rides on the calendar. So these longer motorcycle trips, if you choose to take them, are going to take up a lot more time planning, especially if they're multi-day rides that involve finding accommodation or planning a really long route. So a good way to make trip planning fun is to get together with your friends and start scheduling weekend rides. And then once you do that, you can start to decide who will plan what part of the trip, and you can divide and conquer and plan accordingly. Planning a motorcycle ride successfully strikes a fine balance between having enough things organized so that you aren't riding aimlessly with no plan, and on the other hand, you have enough time and flexibility and play built into the schedule so that you can embrace spontaneity and the inevitable surprises that do pop up along the way. So here are a couple things I want you to start thinking about when you're planning a motorcycle trip. So step 1, pick your destination. Where are you going to ride to? Is it going to be near or is it going to be far? And a couple places that I like to ride my motorcycle to on these longer trips or even a weekend trip are state and national parks. I'm a huge backpacker and a hiker. Some other great places to go are motorcycle rallies like the Black Hills Motorcycle Rally. And I also love visiting the homes of family and friends who live out of state. Another thing to think about is your route. So how much time do you have? Do you have a week or a couple days or a couple of hours? Will you take the scenic route or will you take the highway? And depending on your fuel range, you might want to plan ahead And just really check where the gas stops are so that you don't run out of gas on your journey. Now, this is more important if you want to ride in rural areas where there aren't a lot of places to stop. So alternatively, you can bring a gas can with you as a backup in case you do run out of gas on the road. So a good way to keep planning your trip is look at a couple maps online to get an idea of the terrain that you'll ride through on your trip, and start thinking about the weather that you'll likely be passing through when you're actually on the ride. Look up accommodation available along your route and have a couple options up your sleeve at all times that you can use. So I like to have at least one foreshore place that I can go and stay the night. And then I like to have one backup in case I ride further than expected and I need a last minute spot to rest my head. So for those of you who do like camping, dispersed camping in the United States on public land is a really great option at the last minute, and it's typically going to be free. Just make sure that once you arrive, you want to do that before sunset so that you have plenty of time to set up camp. So tip 2, review and repair your motorcycle gear. Winter is a great time to take stock of your motorcycle safety gear after a long riding season. And I like to use winter to check on my gear because, well, I am way too busy wearing it during the summer and I don't want to waste any riding time doing something that I could have already done, like buy replacement gloves and repair my riding jacket. Just make sure your gear is intact and it's going to keep you protected in a crash. And a couple items that I always like to check on are the armor pieces in my riding jacket. So I realized this past riding season that one of my elbow pads was actually split in half on the inside of my riding jacket on that elbow pad. And what this means is that if I was in a crash, my elbow would have been crushed to smithereens if I had crashed before replacing that armor piece. So as a result, I updated all of my body armor as soon as I realized that that pad was jeopardized. So now that it is replaced, I can ride confidently, knowing that all of my armor is intact and of good quality. Another place I like to check the integrity of is the seams of my gloves and my riding jacket. Motorcycle gloves are always double stitched to provide extra strength and reinforcement in a crash. But somehow these seams still unravel after thousands of miles of use and wear and tear from a million rolls of the throttle. Check your riding jacket seams are going to be intact and free from any tears. Any tears in the fabric will weaken the integrity of the abrasion-resistant fabric, and it's going to make it more likely to split open in the event of a crash. I take my jacket to a local bootmaker for repairs, and I have them use patches to cover any holes and tears that I see. So tip number 3, hang out with your motorcycle friends. My favorite way to stay in the riding game over winter is to frequently hang out with my riding friends. Being around other motorcycle riders is great for several reasons. It reminds you of all the amazing times and miles that you've had together, and it's going to get you super excited for the upcoming adventures that you're planning. Now, when I meet up with my riding friends, the conversation immediately turns to us talking about our motorcycles and how much we love them. We reminisce about the rides that we've gone on and all of the things that we're seeing while we ride. Inevitably, we start discussing plans for the upcoming season and we start conspiring to go further faster together on our motorcycles. It's a total blast, seriously. So tip number 4, winterize your motorcycle and plan your repairs. Winter is the best time to prepare your motorcycle for the riding season. It will save you a ton of time in the spring when literally every other rider is booking repairs and tune-ups at your mechanic's shop, and you are frantically calling around trying to find a shop with availability, like I have done several seasons in a row. This is also a great time to winterize your motorcycle for the season. Now, this is going to look different depending on where you live. If winter temperatures where you live get close to freezing, then consider putting an antifreeze fuel stabilizer in your tank, like Seafoam, to prevent any funny business going on in the tank. Now, fill your tank completely with gas to prevent rust on the inside of the tank, and check the wear on your tires, replace them if they have bald spots, pump up your tires to correct pressure, wash your motorcycle, remove the battery or connect it to a battery tender, place the motorcycle on a center stand or lift it to prevent flat spots, and finally cover it with a motorcycle cover or an old sheet. If you need new tires, then order them as soon as possible so that they arrive with time to spare before riding season, so you have plenty of time to install them. Now, motorcycle tires can sit in a cool, dry place for quite a while. Just make sure you lay them flat and they're not getting any flat spots. So just lay them completely horizontal on the ground. A basement or a garage will work just fine for storage. Winter can be a great time to learn do-it-yourself motorcycle maintenance. Now, my favorite way to learn is through YouTube videos and reading online forum posts. Motorcycle forums can get incredibly specific to certain motorcycle brands and models, so definitely search the internet for forums relevant to your motorcycle and read all of the maintenance threads. Here's the thing, right? Motorcycle enthusiasts are incredibly generous with their knowledge, so prepare for really super specific details like tool recommendations, even details down to like bolt thread sizes. This is all going to be really helpful, and it's going to guide you to the right parts and tools that you need to get at the store. So your motorcycle maintenance manual is another great resource for maintenance information. Just make sure that you record any maintenance that you do on your motorcycle in the maintenance log, either on your manual, on the back pages, or on a separate sheet of paper, and keep it for your records. And keep all of your receipts for maintenance that have been done at a mechanic shop to show potential buyers if and when you sell the motorcycle. This is just going to add to the trust, and it's going to show that you cared a lot for the motorcycle, you got regular maintenance done. So tip number 5, organize your camping gear. This used to be me at the start of every riding season, right? Every time I would return from a motorcycle trip, I would throw all of my gear into one pile in the basement and forget about it until my next trip. So this was crappy for a couple of reasons. I could never find what I was looking for, and it took double the time to sort through all of it and take stock before a trip. And I was just really excited and short on time and frustrated that everything was a mess. So avoid this situation. Use your time wisely over winter to organize your motorcycle camping gear. Clean up your gear by wiping away dirt and debris. Set up your tent and count to make sure that you have every peg needed to put the tent up. Reseal the seams on your tent to ensure that you stay dry while you're in it. Check your rain suit for holes and patch them if needed. Charge your solar battery, little solar powered battery pack that you bring with you. Fluff up your sleeping bag out of its cover. Make sure everything's looking good. Check your stove has all the pieces that you need to cook a meal. And make sure you have a full tank of stove fuel to feed yourself on the road, because that would suck. And the next thing is check the batteries in your headlamp. Make sure they still work and they got plenty of juice for next trip. Finally, wash your camping utensils and dishes. Now, this might seem like tedious work because it kind of is, but it's going to save you a ton of time come riding season. So the worst thing you can do is to be unprepared for a motorcycle camping trip where your tent is leaking on your riding gear, or your sleeping pad has a leak so that you wake up on the ground. It's especially frustrating knowing that you could have prevented all of it with just a little preparation. So don't let that happen to you like it did to me. Okay, so there you have it, my top 5 tips for how to stay in the riding game over winter. I hope that you enjoyed this video. As a motorcycle and a mindset coach, my aim is to always share information to keep you safe on the road so that you can live your best life. Check out my links below for more motorcycle and mindset tips and advice. I have an amazing group coaching program that I think you're going to love, where I work directly with women to help them get started riding motorcycles. Now, I have a small favor to ask. I would love if you could like, comment, and subscribe to my video and to this channel. It really helps get the word out so that more women are empowered to ride motorcycles. So you can catch me at my website, www.herhandlebars.com, or on Instagram at Melissa Hassong. I will see you next time for more motorcycle and mindset tips.